What's going on, Miami Valley? I'm Gary.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we're going to talk to you about why quality control is so important in your grounds maintenance program. Today we're going to explore with you the importance of having a good quality control program in your grounds maintenance. As a company that prides itself in serving its clients and its team with integrity, dependability, and respect, ensuring that your grounds are well maintained is crazy important for the first impression for the residents, the workers, or the people that may come and visit your business or your property. So, Andy, let's jump in. Let's give them a couple reasons why quality control is so important. Okay. My first idea is the consistency and brand. What's important about the consistency and branding of our quality control program at Brunner's?
Well, you want to make sure things are evenly maintained. There's not the wild bush that was forgotten in shrub trimming, or the 2-foot tall milkweed growing through something that is in the back corner, or you can just see it because if I'm driving down the road, I see those things like, hey, and that kind of bothers me. And then as you're going around the property, you can't just take the face value of pulling around. Yeah, that might be good for your UPS driver or the mailman as they loop through going, oh, look, okay. But the fronts of a lot of these properties are actually the backs is the fronts is the, as I'm saying, because they have a patio out back and a patio out front. So just because you can see it from the street doesn't mean that that's what the residents are actually seeing every day for their porch. Yeah,
I notice a lot of companies, they focus a lot on the entry features.
Oh, yeah.
But they forget about the back patio that's up next to the tree line that nobody sees,
right?
Except for the resident.
Except for that one poor lonely guy in the corner that has to go down a hill and around a corner to get to his patio.
Which I'm sure. I mean, do we ever get complaints at our company like that we forget something like that?
Usually, if we do get some sort of complaint, it's most of the time it's mist blow off. There's a little bit of grass that's been missed, or a shrub in a corner around the side of a chimney or something of that nature. That right, out of sight, out of mind. It's not an excuse, but it unfortunately does happen from time to time.
One of the things that drives me crazy is when companies do new landscaping at entry features, but they put in plants that are going to overgrow the sign.
Green giant arborvitaes, yeah. But they're putting in 24 inches right in front of the sign?
Or they let the boxwoods or the grasses overgrow, and then you can't see the sign. So now the client ends up having to spend lots of money every year to get everything cut down, or having to get a new install. I think it's really important when you're going through and doing new landscaping that you have to keep into account the
5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line.
And also the other plants that may be in the community. Don't take the entry feature and say, oh, let's give it a wow factor and throw in a bunch of like green giant arborvitaes, or throw in, like we said in the last video, viburnums or stuff like that. Right. And then deep back in the property, it's nothing but boxwoods
or just overgrown taxus that are just square. And
which I hate taxus. They're so ugly. But a lot of these communities use them because they're very easy to maintain. They're not expensive to put in. They're easy to take out and replace.
Oh, it depends. I was going to say, I've had some taxes that my truck wasn't able to yank out.
I think it was last year, maybe the year before, we did a residence on Elm Street in West Carrollton, and he had like 4 giant freaking taxes, and it was right up next to the foundation. And that's one of the things that people got to be careful of too when they're going and planting some of these things. If they plant it too close to the foundations,
Mother Nature wins.
Yeah, it's going to destroy the concrete, or when you go to remove it, it's going to pull out part of the concrete.
Those roots can go up underneath your sidewalk, and you go, especially if you're hooking it to a truck or something like that yourself, you're liable to pull your sidewalk up.
So with that, when it comes to the consistency and branding, you also have to make sure that you're planting the plants properly. So, I mean, but nonetheless,
proper placement.
I despise walking over to a property or going to look at a new property, and you drive in, you're like, oh, they do a pretty good, the current vendor does a pretty good job. Your phone's ringing.
No, it's an email, one of the million I get a day. I'm sorry.
So those of you that are watching, Andy's phone has to stay on. He's the account manager for Brunner's, and sometimes emergencies happen.
And sometimes 7, 8 o'clock at night, I'm getting a phone call about something.
So back to consistency and branding. It drives me crazy. You drive into the HOA and you're like, oh, they're doing a pretty good job here. You drive a little bit deeper and you're like, oh my goodness, this place looks like crap.
You get that out of sight, out of mind. From street view, it looks good, but you get around to, like we were talking about, those back corners where it's people are like, okay, why did they forget about this resident? The front looks great. They must care about those guys more than these guys.
Well, what happens is inflation's gone crazy. So a lot of places can't afford the quality that comes with creating consistency. Money becomes an option, a problem. So therefore they have to pay less, so they get what they pay for.
Well, yeah.
Because I don't fault those other companies. I mean, they're getting the proposal, they're telling them what they're getting, their price is cheap, so they get what they get.
And like you said, and with the cost is always a problem. So even with HOAs and properties that want to start fixing things up or taking out overgrown things and installing things, a lot of them have been doing things in small sections where they're doing it building by building, or half the property now, half the property next year. A lot of things like that have been going on.
I also find some HOAs don't have rules, and the residents put in whatever they want. So therefore, there are some situations to where an HOA can't have consistency because the residents just do their own thing.
And there are a couple of people off the top of my head that they're supposed to be consistent, but they're on an ongoing battle with the property of, well, why can't I have that? I've already installed 30, of XYZ, and it looks nice, but they're supposed to have just a certain uniformity there, and they're not wanting it.
Right. So nonetheless, quality control is important, and one of the reasons is it creates good consistency and helps the brand image of whether it's an industrial building, an office building, or the homeowners association or condominium owners association. Being consistent in the landscaping and is really important for the branding. And I mean, when I say branding for like an HOA, it's people are going to try to sell their property. Somebody's not going to buy it if it looks like crap. So the branding of the HOA is very important for selling.
We're working on a property over in Centerville right now that they had an open house, and we were working on Saturday due to lovely Mother Nature in April raining on us all last week. So we were working Saturday half day just to get a little bit farther ahead because we had a good dry weekend. And they had an open house, and they were like, "Can you guys mulch?" This was on the other side. We weren't all the way there yet, but we made sure to take the extra little bit of time to edge it all and get it mulched just that way that the walkthrough was pristine for them, so that they had a good view of what the property would look like.
Mm-hmm. And folks, that's what you get when you hire Brunner's Lawn and Services. You get a company that actually gives a crap and will go the extra mile.
And you get this weird looking guy wandering around your property all the time. We have a built-in number of quality control checks that I go through with a big list, but I'm at some of these properties weekly, if not daily, and looking at stuff. So, and our guys do the same thing while they're out mowing or trimming shrubs. If they see something that's out of the ordinary, dead or anything like that, they're going to write it down in their daily notes and throw it at me, and then I'm going to be back out wandering in circles trying to find the picture of a bush
a bush that the complaint came 3 weeks ago.
That does happen. Or our guys take a close-up of it, and then there's no notes as to where it's at. And they go, oh, it's in that back left corner around. And I'm like, okay, I'll find it. It's like, where's Waldo?
Right. All right, folks. That's the first reason: consistency and brand.
That's littering.
All right, folks, it is that time for our customer service corner. This is a moment that I get to ask Andy some questions about the customer service at Brunner's Lawn and Services. So today, Andy, what's the smirk for?
I was waiting for it.
So today I want to talk about our quality control program at Brunner's.
Right.
So when you hire Brunner's Lawn and Services, one of the things that we do is we try to go out 2 to 4 times a year to do a good quality assessment of your property.
Yep.
With that, we're identifying enhancements that could be done. What else are we identifying, Andy?
I mean, as far as turf goes, I mean, I'm looking for a lot of, mowing patterns that haven't been changed where there's might be rutting happening, bald spots or anything of that nature from guys on their zero-turn mowers in that tight corner where things need overseeded. And then, like you said, bushes, anything shrub-related, plant-wise trees and things that are dead, dying, or in need of replacement because they're so god-awful big that, they're blocking your window, and you can't even view your landscaping because of the 8-foot taxus in front of your window.
Well, one of the big things, so with our quality control program, we identify. So we have a cemetery not cemetery, but a funeral home that we take care of in West Carrollton. He's got, are those boxwoods on the side or are those spireas?
On the left-hand side?
If you're facing Sander Funeral Homes front from Alex, those are boxwoods next to the stairs, aren't they?
Yeah. No, those are Korean spice viburnums, the large ones that block his...
That grow into the...
Yes.
All right, so this client has, as Andy said, Korean spice viburnums, and twice a year they have to be trimmed back, like hard trimmed back, because they grow and impede his walkway to the entrance to the funeral home.
The handrails are blocked, and with people coming in and out for funerals, that's kind of important.
Yeah, so those are some of the things that we identify during the quality control. But also as a company, so if you're a landscaping company and you're watching this, it also gives you the opportunity to make some enhancement sales. And enhancement sales isn't a bad word to a homeowners association, because that is identifying and giving you a proposal for stuff that you don't have to go out and find. We find it for you. Right.
There's things you may not even know are going on right now, and it may be where we're just identifying it, saying it's not in the best of health, depending on, because if the company has their trees treated or something like that, we can identify that to the property manager and say, hey, I don't know when it was taken care of last, but this is a point of concern.
What do we do at our company with our team to help them identify quality control issues while they're out on a property?
Just one of my fun things that I've done is any door in any restroom in our building has gigantic weed guides on every door. So regardless, they have to look at it and learn it. That helps with going out and identifying, that's a weed, that's not a plant. Okay, that needs to be taken care of or pulled. Or why is there's two things growing together? That's honeysuckle growing through a boxwood. We need to take care of that.
Well, that's funny because now when I am in our restroom, I'm identifying stuff. And actually yesterday I was outside watching the eclipse and I looked down, I was like, oh, there's Curly Doc. I'm like, oh crap.
Yep.
And I remember that and I should know it because let's face it, years ago I was out in the field too, but now I'm fat, out of shape.
I'm working on it.
You're catching up. Another thing we do, folks, for our quality control program is we have a groundskeeper training program that trains our team how to do proper grounds maintenance. Let's face it, there's only so many universities out there that provide actual grounds maintenance type of certificates and things like that. Being a horticulturist is different than being a regular groundskeeper, somebody that's just doing the regular maintenance, doing the mulching, the mowing. So with that being said, we've developed our own apprenticeship program at our company. I know one of the things with our quality control program and our training program that you're really proud of is that weed test that you created.
And I like changing it just to mess with them so that things are similar, but like, wait a minute, how did I fail this time?
Exactly. So that, folks, is our customer service corner. We just discussed with you. Brunner's has a quality control program built into how we do things. It doesn't cost the client anything extra.
It's miles on my boots.
It's just, cost Andy some new boots, but that's about it. So, all right, let's get back to the reasons why quality control is so important in your grounds maintenance. All right, so the second reason, Andy, why our quality control program, or why a quality control program is so important in your grounds maintenance, is the safety and liability. Like we had said in the customer service corner about that funeral home, that the viburnums are impeding on the walkway. That creates a huge safety issue.
Well, yeah, and I have one specific property because the bushes that they had planted, mostly viburnums in that area that are large and in the later stage of their life. They're planted right underneath the addresses at the corner of the garage, and we go out and we have to maintain that because EMS has stated that they've had problems finding elderly residents that have called 911. And we have to go out there and make sure that they are pruned back away from everything. And they've gone through and are beginning to start pulling things out and replacing it with smaller stuff. But that's a big concern. If you have a problem, you really want them to be able to see your address.
Yeah. It's the same with snow removal. So I know we're in landscaping season, but
you said that four-letter word.
Yeah.
Snow.
Yeah, we hate snow, but it's a necessary evil. But with our quality control, like with the nursing homes and things like that, we have to make sure that the snow removal
slips and falls. Yep.
is set so that they can get in and out the EMS.
And that's also another thing, like with the final cleanup, blowing off after what we're doing and making sure things are taken care of. You have walnut trees, you have sweet gum balls on the ground. You can slip and fall and bust your butt on all that.
Well, especially if you're elderly and you're kind of unstable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm not elderly, and I'm fairly stable, and I've busted my butt on a walnut.
Well, you're part crippled, Andy.
Things are bolted together, but
you're the only person I know that would rather have his foot cut off than to have surgery.
I will take a robot foot right now. It'd be great.
So we talked about addresses being visible, EMS. What are a couple places at, say, an HOA that you would get a phone call about because of a safety issue, or even like so we take care of a senior center, Canterbury Court. The butt huts, the cigarettes. Is that something that you ever get a phone call for, or that you have to say, like, the guys mowing over them?
Well, it's that, or it's when they're blowing off around the butt huts and the sheer amount of ash, and then the actual butt cans hitting them with those big, powerful blowers. I've had that to where they've just dispersed them out, and then they go, and I have to go out and get a broom and sweep it up. And even though I was a smoker for 21 years, I still don't enjoy going into those butt huts. It's just encased in that smell.
I cannot stand that smell. I'm so glad myself and my wife quit smoking. It's just an awful practice.
I'm still guilty of a cigar here and there.
A good pipe every now and then.
There you go.
A good pipe every now and then. One of the things I really want to touch on with those that may be watching that is really important with our quality control, because it happens, is we break windows. We break windows. And it's very important as a company that you can show your client that if you break something, you are going to hold your team liable and you're going to fix it for them.
Yep.
Because, for instance, the glass, we'll clean up the glass if we break it.
I will shop vac your turf, your mulch beds. I've had to do it before.
So with that, I think we've beat the horse. Safety, liability is a huge reason why you should have a solid quality control program.
Yep.
If you don't, you're doomed to fail or spend a lot of money in insurance.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really hard. It's what I designed ours based on is really just the loops I walk around the property and things I've been doing, and I put it down on paper so that I could give it to one of our crew leaders if I can't make it to that property. And especially, I like to give it to them, even like I said, we don't just do it those number of times it's in our schedule. Yeah. I like to surprise the crew leaders with, here's the sheet. Give it a walk around. It doesn't have to be.
So you're talking about our quality control sheet. Okay. So we use a program called LMN for our routing and our timekeeping and all that in the field. Our team leaders are supposed to write in the notes if they see something that's a liability or a safety issue as well. So it's really important. But like I said, I think we beat the dead horse. Let's move on.
Okie dokie. Littering.
All right. So reason number 3, and probably I would think of it as one of the most important reasons of why you should have a solid quality control program, is the longevity and the cost effectiveness of the maintenance of your property. One of the things I find is a builder. All right, so say a new homeowners association is going up. The architect for the builder will put all of these fancy plants in, but the HOA dues don't support the amount of money it costs to maintain.
Yep.
I think if the builders would just talk to the landscaping companies and let us go simple on some of these HOAs.
And that's the way we've gone with a lot of different ones where we've taken things out. It's nice, simple, clean, and it helps to get that uniformity down.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, so folks, that's a product we are actually, I think we excel at, is replacing fancy landscapes for cost-effective, pretty, but simple. Yeah. There's a lot of things you can do with annuals. Yeah. In the summer. I mean, let's face it, in the wintertime, things are dead. Even the perennials that you have, it's a bare landscape. So put annuals in. It's simple. You don't have to worry about them overgrowing. Yeah, it's a cost every year, but you also, that cost balances out because you're not trimming or you're not removing, having to cut back or things like that. go to simple plants like hostas or liriopes, or like we said in our boxwood replacement video, use burning bushes, use dwarf globe arborvitaes.
And I'm a weirdo. I like stone, so I like boulders and just funky rocks. I'm guilty of crawling into creeks on my off time and pulling things out that I was like, I think I would go good at one of my properties, and then dragging it off.
So sometimes simple is better. And sometimes some of those plants last a lot longer. The longevity of them is longer, like coral bells. Coral bells last forever. But if they don't, they're $5 to replace.
A little more than that with inflation now, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, folks, I gave away my secret. $5.95.
No, they've gone up, I'm telling you.
Have they?
Yeah.
Inflation.
Yep.
But with that, I mean, go simple. It's more cost
easy
effective.
to maintain. You can take them. You can do a little bit of cleanup on them on the coral bells, but you can leave them sit up. They're sitting there till spring. It gives you a little bit of color in there, and there's other stuff you can put in where you can leave them up. It's just something to look at over winter. They may not be the most vibrant, pretty thing at the time, but it gives you something to look at with some color.
Right. Before we close out on the longevity and the cost effectiveness reason, one of the things that people need to realize too, when you throw and have mulch put in every year, if you don't use the right mulch, it's just going to build up.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad for your structures.
Yeah, you build up too far, and you begin covering above your foundation up against your siding and cover weep holes. The mulch degrading can cause damage to your siding if you have a wood siding, other things like that. Not to mention staining if you have a plastic or an aluminum siding that you would later have to clean off if you were to pull mulch away.
Or it's a feeding ground for termites.
Oh yeah.
If you use
pre-built homes.
Yeah, that really thick, dark black mulch, the palletized mulch, that stuff, like termites love it. That is
it's condos for them.
That is the buffet for a termite. They're in love, and they will get into the weep holes. They'll climb in through the cracks of the concrete, get into the wood structure of your foundation in your building. And
a couple years ago, out of 33 homes, we had to strip 21 of them that we found termites on. And we ended up eventually taking the entire property off and returning it to natural brown mulch.
Yeah, sometimes that cost of removal and to put a fresh layer down is way cheaper than having to replace foundations and things like that.
Yep.
So, folks, reason number 3 is for the longevity and cost effectiveness. If you're looking for a company that will help you with a quality control program for your grounds maintenance so that we can improve the consistency and branding, we can help the safety and liability, and we can help the longevity and the cost effectiveness, give Brunner's Lawn and Services a call. You can reach us at 937-681-4859, or you can visit our website at www.brunnersltd.com, or you can join the discussion, of which, if you leave a comment, I will respond to you. So that's it for this episode, Andy. We spoke to them. We gave them some reasons about quality control. We told them about our quality control program.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, give us a ring if you have questions. By all means, thank you for watching. Have a great day, and always remember, at Brunner's,
satisfaction matters.
It does. Have a good day, folks.
Lettering.